Hola amigos de TV Agro, mi nombre es Adriana Miranda.
Hello friends of TV Agro. My name is Adriana Miranda and I'm a butterfly biologist in Colombia, and today I want to invite you to know our butterfly garden. Welcome.
En Mariposas Son Colombia llevamos
In Mariposas Son Colombia, we have been studying and cultivating butterflies for 13 years. At this moment, we are in the fight chamber or the dome where butterflies reproduce.
y machos. En este caso,
The first thing to know is that there are female and male butterflies. In this case, a female and a male copulate. The fertilized female lays her eggs on a plant. In the butterfly garden, we have two types of plants.
las plantas hospederas,
Nutritious plants, which is where they lay their eggs, and host plants. The host plants are those where they lay their eggs and also feed. The first thing we do here is a protection process,
cosas, solo 30
because it turns out that in the natural environment, out of every 100 butterflies, only 30 reach their adult stage in the natural environment. This is because there are predators, extreme weather factors, and different situations that can affect their development. Now with cultivation or breeding processes like the one we do, we have a success rate between 85 and 90%. But this is due to what?
Una vez está el huevo sobre las hojas,
It turns out that the first thing we do is to avoid or isolate those risk factors. For example, once the egg is on the leaves, what we have to do is to avoid that other animals such as spiders or insects eat it. Then what we do is to collect the eggs. That is the first step. After we collect the eggs, then we examine them one by one to feed the caterpillars. Here we are going to find some of the caterpillars that have hatched in the eggs. If you notice this one, for example, it is a monarch butterfly caterpillar. It is very special. It is in a very special stage. She is in the middle stage. The monarch butterfly caterpillars have 5 different stages in which they grow and change or shed their skin. This is a very special process because the caterpillars feed in an impressive way. All the leaves that they eat are transformed into biomass in such a way that they grow. They start being as small as an egg, which is like the head of a pinhead, and end up being caterpillars as big as a forefinger. It is an impressive energy storage, and they do this so that when they encapsulate and continue in the next stage, which is a chrysalis or butterfly cup, they have enough energy to form a new body.
que destruyen todo el cuerpo de oruga,
But not only form a new body, they also do something very impressive, is that they destroy the entire caterpillar body and convert it into an undifferentiated mass of cells that will be formed again from scratch in an adult butterfly body.
no comen por ejemplo esta planta.
Other plants that we have here are plants that only serve to feed when they are adults. That is to say, the caterpillars do not eat this plant. For example, they only consume the nectar when they are already big. In this butterfly garden, we have at the moment 5 species of butterflies that are breeding now. For example, one is called Cyproetta taphus. It is also known as chocolate butterfly. The one that is here is called Cyproetta stellines, which is the little green butterfly. We also have the mirror butterfly, Odio nehuno, which is the one that is right behind this Cyproetta taphus. It is called mirror because the back of its wings has some silver contours that are like reflective. They are beautiful, and one of the main butterflies that we cultivate is a monarch butterfly. The monarch butterfly is a traditional and very well-known butterfly. Something very cool about the monarch butterfly is that the population that lives in North America makes a migration, where it comes down when there is winter in Canada and arrives to Mexico. But we in Colombia also have a population of monarch butterflies, and we also have to conserve them. The great thing about our population is that it does not need to migrate because there is no winter here. So in this case, the only thing it does is to inhibit. But sometimes people think that the monarch butterfly is a foreign butterfly, and no, even in countries a little further south than Colombia, there are monarch butterflies.
Como les contaba, el proceso de producción inicia con
As I was telling you, the production process starts with a copulation of a male and a female butterfly. Once they copulate, the eggs are laid.
de huevos en primera instancia.
What we do here is a collection of eggs in the first instance. Then in a sterile jar that we have prepared
Vamos a empezar con la primera fase.
just for that, we are going to start with the first phase of protection of the eggs, which is the collection.
Las personas que trabajan con nosotros
Then every morning, one of the people who works with us is dedicated to review plant by plant of the host plants.
se van recolectando uno por uno.
That we are collecting the eggs. They are collected one by one. This process is even done with a brush in a very delicate way.
Ya sabemos un tiempo estimado.
And it is filled here. We already know an estimated time of the eggs. As I told you, this is important to avoid any type of parasites or that the spiders eat them or other insects.
Después de que se colectan,
After these eggs are collected, they are taken to the laboratory, and in the laboratory, what is done is to wait for them to hatch and start feeding caterpillar by caterpillar until they have a suitable size, and then they go to the plants where they feed as adult caterpillars until they form their cocoons.
bueno, aquí inicia la fase del laboratorio.
Here they start the laboratory phase because there is a very close relationship between caterpillars and plants.
Plantas, lo primero que hacemos es
So as caterpillars need a large amount of plants, the first thing we do to always have backup cultures so they can feed. They are then fed one by one to where we are going to go, which is already as such the laboratory.
una vez llegamos al laboratorio, lo que se hace
Once we get to the laboratory, what we do is to have everything very sterile,
es de cualquier agente que las pueda afectar.
because what we are doing precisely is to protect the caterpillars from any agent that may affect them. Then we start from the eggs, and one by one we start cleaning the leaves. What she is doing is making the leaves more sterile and moving any spider or anything that may have to feed the eggs.
Por ejemplo, estos son los huevitos.
For example, these are the eggs that were collected. Then, as they are all here, as they hatch, they are put in jars where the first stages are spent feeding directly on the leaves.
Alimentándose directamente de las hojas. Tienen cada uno de
Each one of these jars has a date of collection, the species, the quantity,
y son básicamente
and they are basically for the first stage for when they are already more vulnerable to some agents, like other insects, like parasites, like spiders. What we do there is basically to protect them. When they are already bigger, then we pass them directly to the plants. I'll show you how.
una vez se alimentan los primeros
Once the first stages are fed in the laboratory in the glass, protecting them when they are more vulnerable and smaller, they pass to our crop directly here, where they are also housed for their feeding stage for the last stages of the caterpillars.
es ir engordando
So what they do here is to fatten up and store energy so that when they are ready, they can move on to the cocoon or pupa formation stage.
entonces si se dan cuenta
They eat a lot, so if you notice that quite a few of these plants already have, let's say some of them have their leaves a little bit rehabilitated, but that's why we have several backup crops so that they never lack food.
en Colombia tenemos
In Colombia, we have a wonderful advantage, and it is the climate.
tecnificado el cultivo de
But even so, we have technified the cultivation so that the temperature is always optimal for caterpillars and butterflies.
permite a ellas poder
We also have an irrigation system that allows to keep the plants always moist and always have green plants for them to feed perfectly on these.
tamaño suficiente, que es el último íster,
Once they have a sufficient size, which is the last one installed,
y ya ahí empieza la
and there begins a collection of pupae, which are the ones that we take to assemble each of the species of plants
cada una de las especies de
that we have here corresponds to a butterfly.
¿sí? Porque
Because as I was saying, butterflies have a close relationship with their plant.
entonces, por ejemplo, esta especie
So for example, this species, which is the monarch, needs
el algodoncillo para poder
this other species of plant, which is the milkweed, to be able to reproduce.
de respaldo esta especie.
Yes, that is why they are only found in this part of this crop, back in this species of plant.
Hospedera. Una vez las orugas medianas,
Once the medium-sized caterpillars are already fattened,
para que ellas puedan formarse,
what we do is pass them to be able to form and form their pupa or butterfly chrysalis.
salidas o pupas formadas,
Then here we will already find different chrysalis
y son las que se llevan
or pupae formed, which we collect in this box, and they are the ones that are taken for the assembly of the product here
aquí en el techo. Por lo general ellas se cuelgan.
on the roof. Usually they are hung when they are ready to reproduce.
Transformación. Todas las verdes que están ahí
They are already hung when they are ready. They are hung in the form of a J and they begin the transformation. All the green ones that are there are the chrysalis or pupae.
ellas se cuelgan,
They are hung through this fabric that is called cremaster.
forman con su cremaster y es una parte inerte.
It is formed with sucre master and it is an inert part like a fabric, like a spider's web, that they form to be able to stick to each other.
Así que ellas puedan nacer con la fuerza de gravedad de sus alas. Todo este proceso es súper delicado y lo hacemos pues con mucha paciencia. Bueno, amigos de TV Agro, me despido.
Well, friends of TV Agro, I say goodbye with this special crop to feed many caterpillars, inviting you to find us on social networks on Instagram and Facebook as Butterflies Are Colombia. I hope you liked the tour. Thank you.